This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.
All right, it is 6 p.m. I will now call to order the June 26th meeting of the Easthampton Conservation Commission. This meeting is being recorded. This meeting of the Easthampton Conservation Commission will be conducted in person and simultaneously via remote participation online to the greatest extent possible. Every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. In the event that we are unable to do so, despite best efforts, we will post on the City of Easthampton website an audio or video recording, transcript, or other comprehensive record of proceedings as soon as possible after the meeting. Should an interruption occur in which the online meeting ends abruptly, both the in-person and online meetings will not be restarted, and all agenda items will be automatically continued to the next scheduled meeting. Cassie, are there other housekeeping items you need to go over?
Yeah, the only other comments I'll make is that all participants are asked to remain muted until it's time for public comments. Participants should use the raise hand function or send a chat to the agent. Please state your name for the record at the beginning of any comments, and please don't utilize the chat function unless it's necessary to indicate to the agent that you want to make a comment. All private chats are generated into a transcript that will be included in the public record and are not, in fact, private. Discussion in the chat is prohibited. And with that,
are there any public concerns, non-agenda items?
I have not received any. I don't know if everyone here is for the Lathrop item. Sounds like.
All right.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
We'll move on to public hearings. Our first item is the public hearing for the notice of intent filed by Furrow Engineering on behalf of TC Top Development LLC for a new mixed-use commercial and residential development with associated stormwater management system at 93, 95, and 97 Northampton Street, map 128, lot 112, 113, and 114, Mass DEP file number 1510322, as noted on the agenda. That is continued until July 10th, 2023. Our next item is a request for extension of order of conditions filed by Lathrop Community of Easthampton for invasive species management at 100 Bassett Brook Drive, map 104, lot 2. The request was filed on 6/12/2023. We don't have the file number listed there.
Oh, we don't? Oh, sorry.
But this is right here. This is Mass DEP file number 151-283.
Sorry about that.
Do we have someone here to speak to this item?
Yes. Am I unmuted? Can everyone hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay.
Please introduce yourself for the record.
Yes. My name is Barbara Walvard. I am on the steering committee of the Land Conservation Committee at Lathrop. And my colleague on the committee also, Susan Garrett, is also present. Susan. We serve on this committee, which has been in existence since 2015. At Lathrop, we have about 125 acres of land in the town of the city of Easthampton. About 80, and that's a rough guess, are undeveloped. It's a mosaic of land, fields, meadows, vernal pools, forest, and Bassett Brook, which runs through it. We began work on invasives on this land in 2015 with our first NOI. And it was accompanied by a habitat management plan developed with us by Land Stewardship, Inc., which has been our wonderful contractor ever since for invasive management and consulting about our land. That NOI was revised in 2016 to allow us to do invasives removal on all of our land, the whole 125 acres. And it was revised again last year to allow brush hogging and mowing as methods of invasive control. So we have, during all that time, we've asked for extensions as we needed to, and we're asking for another one. We've been making tremendous progress. We have raised money from resident donations. We've had in-kind support from Lathrop Management, with whom we work closely. We have gotten several grants, and we have gone from land in which no work on invasives had been done in 2015 to now we estimate roughly about 60 or 70 acres on the Easthampton property on which some work on removing invasives has been done. Some of it is quite pristine, some of it is not so much. But it keeps coming back, as you know, and we keep working on it. So this is an ongoing concern of ours very much in line with Lathrop's values and the Quaker values of Kendall, to walk lightly on the land and to do the best that we can to steward this land, which is home to many, many creatures, not to say the Barnes Aquifer and other valuable characteristics. So we've made tremendous progress and we want to keep going. So we're asking for an extension. And I'd be happy to answer any questions about our work.
Great, thank you for the update. Are there any questions from the commission? I think we're all familiar with this project.
Yes, we did do a site visit this week, but how long are they asking for a particular amount? It's not in the letter and what the extensions request, so.
I assume you're looking for a 3-year extension, which is the maximum we can do at a
Yes.
Sure.
interval.
Okay.
Further questions or comments?
Is the extension to do additional acreage or to just keep
Nope, just
we've already done?
keeping on the same acreage for 3 years.
I'll just comment for the record that we certainly appreciate your effort. We always like to encourage and push for invasive species management as part of any project that's going on, and that Lathrop is doing this as a standalone project is very encouraging, and we appreciate your efforts.
Thank you. We appreciate your support.
Do we have a motion to issue an extension?
I'll make a motion that we issue a 3-year extension of the order of conditions for the Lathrop property.
All those in favor, roll call vote. Clark?
Aye.
August?
Aye.
Whittemore?
Aye.
Ryan?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, so I had, the form should be in there and you all can sign it. And then Barbara, I can email it to you if that's all right. And I can also mail you the physical version as well.
Sure.
Okay, I can plan to do that. I have 45 Huckleberry Lane as the address. Is that still right?
No, it's now 4040 Dogwood Lane in Northampton.
Oh, gotcha.
Do we, Cassie, we're signing the back.
I'm still at Lathrop. I'm just on the other campus.
Oh, gotcha. Sorry. It should be just like the regular. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that's,
The address though, the 45
Oh, that's
on
okay.
the back side of that page.
yeah, yep. I will fix it and make sure all the addresses are right, but you're signing the right page. Is that what you're asking me? I'm sorry.
But the address is printed on the side, the other side of the page we're currently
Oh,
signing.
yeah, I
Our
can just,
signatures are going to be on a page with the wrong information.
I can white it out
Okay.
and then scan it that
All
way.
right,
Yeah, I'll
great.
make it right. Thank you though. It's a good point. Okay. Well, I'll do both then, Barbara. I'll email it to you and sign it, but, and mail it. And I'll send it to DEP, of course, as well.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you very much. All right.
All right, excellent. We have no request for certificate of compliance. Our next item is enforcement actions. I believe the only one, to my knowledge, that we have discussion of would be Loutville condominiums. Is that correct?
Actually, a couple others. So we can just go down the list.
Okay.
The first one would be for 93 Northampton Street rear. So I got a response because last meeting, I had asked the commission, like, when should they do
Right.
the historical BVW restoration work? And you guys said as soon as possible. They responded that Dan Nietzsche is recommending that they do not start the work until this fall, to give the planting the best chance of survival. Recommended planting window starts mid-September, and they would request to wait until that time to complete that work. The invasive removal has been mostly complete, and they will be starting to remove the piles of pulled plants off-site. Then they'll let us know when it's 100% complete. But does that make sense to you all to wait until September to initiate the restoration work?
For installation of plantings,
For the plantings, yeah.
that does make sense. Given
Okay.
that we're getting into that. I mean, it's gonna rain this week, but it's theoretically the drier season.
Yeah. Okay, well then, okay, cool. I'll let them know that. And then just keep on it to get an exact date of when they plan to start. And then I'll keep you all posted if they do, when they finish the invasive work.
Great.
Okay, and then the other one is Logville. So if you're ready for that. So where we
This
left
is-
off, yeah.
Loudville Condominiums LLC, 6973 Loudville Road, map 140/139, lot 28 and 2911, enforcement order 2023-001.
Yeah, so where we left off after the last meeting, I sent them a summary email just explaining everything that had happened at that meeting, which read as follows, which is number one, for the sediment removal, the commission reiterated that they would like the remainder of the sediment to be removed via hand tools, despite possible loss of some original surface soil. This decision was made based on the site visit that was completed by the commissioners on 5/27, and concerns related to the nature of the remaining sediment being quite different from the original surface soil and the loss of microtopography that is created by allowing it to remain, thus superseding the concerns to loss of original surface soil. Seemed to be the summary of the last meeting for that portion of the enforcement order. The second piece is for the slope restoration. The commission requested that a new plan be submitted, which includes the discussed soil lift configuration, which utilizes tucked and layered biodegradable erosion control blanketing / soil layers and plantings to achieve repair of all voids and long-term stabilization of the slope. Please include determination of what amount of excavation will be necessary to achieve this, and a thorough explanation if it is determined that excavation will not be necessary, because that was something where the commission seemed like they were willing if they felt like they could do it reasonably, sure, but they need to explain why they want to do it that way. This should be provided within the next week so the commission can have time to review it in advance of the next meeting scheduled for June 26th. For the and then the last one is for the evaluation of the in-stream damages. Please continue to stand by as the commission determines how they would like to proceed with this phase of the enforcement. And then I told them I will keep them updated as soon as possible. It's very likely that the new proposal from a third party with additional funds will be required to complete this phase of the as previously discussed. And then there was discussion of a site visit in which I reiterated that, they had requested that we do a site visit with all related parties, SWCA, RLA, project managers, and the commission. And the commission had expressed, that was going to be difficult to achieve because everyone, is busy. And you guys didn't feel like you needed more information. You felt like you had the information that you had from the meeting on 5/27. But I made myself available and told them all the times that I would be available. I didn't get a response from them, and I did a follow-up email later that week, and then again on Thursday of last week. And then the response I got today was as follows. They said, we will be requesting a continuance of this matter for tonight's Concom meeting. RLA met on site with the contractor late last week to review things and are still working on a revised restoration plan that incorporates the slope repair with fabric soil lifts. We expect to have a plan submitted well in advance of the next Concom meeting date, anticipated to be July 10th. And they also asked if I had conducted a site visit or the commission had conducted a site visit on their own, which I did not do and did not anticipate doing because it seemed like they wanted to do one together based on my interpretation of the last meeting. So
for the record, as an enforcement order, they are not in a position to request a continuance. We will be discussing this matter and continuing as it is our matter to move forward with. Cassie, also for the record, the date that we had required they submit the updated plan would have been what? It was a week from the last meeting.
That would have been, yes. Yeah, ideally the 19th. Yeah,
Okay.
but yeah.
So they had been required to submit an updated plan by June 19th. They agreed to that during the meeting. We have received nothing. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And I believe this is the second time that we require something by a particular date and they have not responded. So we have multiple options, I suppose. We can allow them to do as they suggest and submit something by the next meeting. We can set a new date. We can issue a stop work order until they comply with the enforcement requirements. Those are the things that come to mind immediately, but I'm interested in what folks feel is appropriate here. This has dragged on now since.
Right.
When was this issued, Cassie? This was back in like February or March, I think.
Yeah, March sounds right to me. It wasn't February. I believe it was March. I can double check.
I know things weren't coming up yet. The scent cabbage wasn't coming up yet, but it came up shortly after.
Correct.
320.
322.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, you were saying a lot fast.
Yeah, sorry.
The part where they said they met on what date?
They just said late last week.
So they didn't meet at all
No.
between the time we met with them until the end of last week. It doesn't really
Based
sound
on
like
what
there
they
was an
told us.
attempt to be within that week.
Yeah. Yeah. They didn't give me an exact date, so.
And
What their email say?
yeah,
I can read it again. Yeah. Yep.
I didn't see that.
I just added it. I got the
Okay.
email like at like 3:30
Okay.
today
All right.
from them. So, okay. Their email today was, we will be requesting a continuance of this matter for tonight's Concom meeting. RLA, which is our Levesque Associates, met on site with the contractor late last week to review things and are still working on a revised restoration plan that incorporates the slope repair with fabric soil lifts. We expect to have a plan submitted well in advance of the next Concom meeting date, anticipated to be July 10th.
what is RLA?
They're so
Best Associates.
Yeah.
It's the designer.
they were their main designer during the
The guy who was on the call.
yes, yep, yeah. And the project monitor is Ryan Nelson. He's works for RLA.
So they didn't meet with SWCA, they just,
Sounds like they met with each other, like internally. Yeah, that's my interpretation of
And we
this.
wouldn't expect them to meet with SWCA.
Correct.
SWCA is working for us.
Correct.
So what are we looking for then? The restoration plan and
Yeah, there's basically 3 elements to the enforcement order. There is the sediment removal, which the commission left on. They want there's a remainder.
well, let's stop there. There was confusion at last meeting on their part on what they needed to do.
Correct.
We were on the assumption, right, that they would do it by hand.
Yes. The remainder.
They vacuumed a percentage of it, but then they couldn't.
Yeah, I just think that why they were confused at the last meeting. We're still expecting them to do it by hand for the last small layer, right?
That's correct. That's my understanding.
Unless they propose something else that we find acceptable, but they propose nothing to date.
Yeah, what I'm waiting to receive is a timeline and a method of how they're going to do it.
That's one. Number
Yeah.
2 is
The slope restoration, because there's a number of voids that have opened in the slope as a result of the erosion of the water running down. And the commission wants that to be done with these geolifts, these kind of like soil wrapping, kind of like stairs created. And we want an updated plan, like a drawn plan, showing how they're going to do that and all the details. We've gotten something similar to that in the past, but it needs to be a new version that incorporates all the elements of the last meeting.
do a combo, ask for it by this Friday, and if it's not received, then about doing a stop order.
That's what I was thinking, to give them a nearer than July 10th deadline,
Sure.
and then do the stop order. to
Yeah.
Get it.
Because
That was my inclination as well. Give them one more chance, set a firm date, and let them know that we'll be issuing a stop work order if we don't have compliance by then.
yeah, because the July 10th meeting is 2 weeks away.
Yeah.
So then if we got it by this Friday, I could send it to you all and you'd have the whole next week to review it.
So get it by the 30th. And 30th.
That Friday.
Yes.
And then
So
it-
we should make it Monday. Given we-
It's up to you guys.
I'm gonna note.
But yeah, so do you want to say Friday or Monday? Sorry. Friday?
That works for me.
Okay, cool. And then in that communication, I should say, or else we're going to issue a stop work order
Yes.
on like that Monday or whatever. Yeah. Okay. By the 30th.
And the other element that Cassie and I have not fully sorted out yet is the stream assessment.
Mhm.
But Cassie has reached out to Scott Jackson, who is both intimately familiar with the Wetlands Protection Act, a professor in, I think, the Department of Ecological Conservation at UMass, and also a Conservation Commission chair. And we've reached out to him for some advice, and also a past president, I think, of MAC, or past
Pastoral.
board member.
Yeah.
So we've reached out to him for some more advice to see if we can get further direction as to what would be appropriate and who would be appropriate to do it, because we haven't been getting super far. We did get some additional input from SWCA, but my sense from Scott is that they don't really have time and they're not fully convinced that they're the right expertise for what we're looking for. So we just want to get another thought on what would be the right approach here, and then we can move forward putting something together for that piece.
Okay. Yeah, I'm waiting for him to just tell me a date that he can do it. So, but he did confirm that he'd be willing to help us. So,
He would come out and assess it, or he would just refer us to somebody else.
yeah.
We're just looking to talk with him about whether he's seen anything like this and what he would recommend as the course of action.
I feel confident he doesn't provide those services in a professional capacity.
And Cassie, if it's useful for me to sit in on that,
Oh,
let me know after this. Well, if it's this week, it might be tight, but if
Okay.
it winds up being next week, I have a lot more time.
yeah, I'll keep you posted. We could do it like a Google Meet or something that
Yeah.
way. We could do it through like a video. That'd be cool. Okay.
All right, so we've got a course of action to move that forward. Thank you, Cassie,
Mhm.
for sending that message.
Of course.
Any other enforcement updates?
The only one, just for the record, is 10 Industrial Parkway. I haven't gotten an update from him yet on the plantings. He was waiting to be able to buy them. So
Right.
I'll check in though, because he said 2 weeks is what they
Okay.
had told him. And I think it's been about that.
All right, any open space updates? Anything on Oakdale West?
I don't have anything unless Jay does.
No, seemed like it was gonna be a little bit of a wet week, and next week should work out a little bit better. The weather looks a little better, so.
We're waiting for mowing at this point,
That is
right?
mowing,
Okay.
that's the first pass of mowing, then if there's removal of larger objects, then that could be at the end of next week.
Compliance updates? Cassie?
So the only one I had, okay, so for the school, I did do a site visit this morning. They had asked to remove the remaining erosion controls, in light of all the seeding, and saying that they're working on like kind of trying to close everything up. Still have reiterated to them concerns about the basin and making sure all the stormwater system is correct. That's going to be like the biggest piece, I think, for this certificate of compliance review, because it is almost entirely stable out there. I leaning towards saying like they can go ahead and remove the majority of the erosion controls that are left even, but there's still just this one piece that's in the back of the maintenance building that I wonder if it should stay just for now. It's not fully seeded yet, and it's just pretty close to a wetland. So it's not a huge area really, but just, harm in leaving it. They have to come back to the site anyways to do more seeding and figure out the basins. So that's what I was going to do.
The other thing to keep in mind, Cassie,
Mhm.
is areas that might get redisturbed when they come back to deal with that basin. It would make sense to leave the erosion controls in, so they're not having to reinstall them,
That's a good question.
I would think.
I will ask them about that.
Because I can't imagine that they're gonna deal with that without bringing the equipment back in.
I don't
It
know.
looks
Yeah.
like today, I mean, it's a pond with
Yeah.
frogs.
There are frogs. Definitely. I scared them.
Kids
this
are
morning.
enjoying it,
Yeah.
but not functioning the way it's supposed to at all.
Okay, cool. I'll ask them about that. And then otherwise, yeah, see what they say. Okay, and then that was all I had for the other projects.
Okay,
And if you're ready, we can do the minutes.
Yep.
Okay.
we have meeting minutes from both May 22nd and June 12th.
Yep, and here's a copy if anybody needs them. And I have the corrections from, oh, it got really well. Deb are in there.
Would anyone care to make a motion? Are there any comments, questions other than what's already been?
I'll
Go ahead, go.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes from
May 22nd.
May 22nd and June 12th.
Perfect.
We have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor, Carr?
Aye.
August?
Aye.
Whittemore?
Aye.
Ryan?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, Deborah. Climate Action Plan Survey.
Yeah, this is just a
Really quick,
plug.
Cassie, so tell us again.
So if you guys are interested, it's all the information is in there. It's in the email. It's just curious if anyone's interested. We're going to be doing a meeting, an informational meeting on the 28th about developing the climate action plan, and then the survey. That would be really helpful if you all are willing and have time to take the survey. It takes 10 minutes. That would be huge, and then like tell your friends. That's the main part of it. And there's not a lot of public attention.
Before I came here and ran out of time.
There's no rush. We're going to be taking it. It's going to be open like the whole summer. Awesome.
Nice.
Thank you. But it's going to be open all summer. So
The link is in today's, or the email about today.
yes. Yep. Yep. And in the ongoing project update
Got it,
document.
right there. Open it now.
So.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Tell your
Kathy.
friends.
Wetlands ordinance discussion. The working group had a meeting scheduled for tomorrow, but we postponed it because it overlapped with
City council or something.
city council or planning board.
Planning board.
That people wanted to go to. So I believe our new meeting is July 17th. Does that sound right?
Yeah, it does. Unless it's the 18th. Why do I feel 18th? Yeah.
July 18th. Okay. So we won't have an update for a few weeks, but we are continuing to move forward. So nothing new since the last time, but we're continuing to work through the thoughts on recommendations for performance standards for our regulations. And so we probably have a couple more meetings going over things like that before we have something more solid to share with everybody and get larger input on.
Is there a timeline for like when it might get presented to the other, when it might be in condition to be presented to others?
We have not chosen to be that optimistic or structured yet. Give us a little more time and then maybe we'll set ourselves some deadlines.
I think it is a good idea. Like once we bring it, when we're done at these working groups and then bring it to here, it's like we should maybe set ourselves a deadline.
Yeah.
I don't know.
we
That's
should-
my
then
thought.
we should definitely set up a timeline.
Yeah.
But I think we're
Yeah.
I'm pleased at this point that we're moving forward at a much faster pace than we were from like 2007
Yeah,
to now.
right. Yeah, right.
So we're gonna roll with that and we'll come up with a more structured plan
And we
in
won't
the
give up.
near future.
Yeah. And we're not going to give up.
Any other general business?
I don't have anything unless anyone else does.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Do we have a second? All those in favor, Carr? August? Whittemore?
Aye.
Ryan?
Aye.
Motion carries. It is 6:28. We
Wow.
are concluding the June 26th meeting of the Easthampton Conservation Commission, and our next meeting will be July 10th at 6 p.m. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.